Am I the a-hole for not supporting my ex-husband and his wife after their many years of infertility? I, 30s female, have 3 children with my ex-husband Nick, aged 13, 12, and 9. We separated and later divorced when our youngest was only 4 months old. We divorced because Nick confessed he didn't love me and had only married me because I was pregnant with our oldest. He said he had been unable to develop any real feelings for me and could no longer pretend, as his unhappiness was growing by the day. I bring this up because I believe his lack of true feelings for me has led him to see me as unimportant and disposable when it comes to our kids. The reason I feel this way is because of how he and his wife Haley, 30s female, have treated me. We had only been divorced for a few weeks when Nick started bringing Haley to our kids' school events. We met at a school play, and they commented that Haley was getting ready for her role as a new mom. I thought they meant she was pregnant, but no, they meant she would be mom to my kids. Haley wanted to hold my youngest, and Nick told me they needed some mother-son bonding because she hadn't met the kids yet. Within weeks, they wanted me to delegate some parenting tasks to Haley, like school pickup and drop-off, or taking our oldest to dance lessons. My kids barely knew her. They weren't even living together yet. Nick told me it was important to make space for Haley as a mom. I told him she would be a stepmom, but I am their mom. Nick's response was that, at their house, Haley would be mom, and that the kids deserved a mom and dad parental unit instead of divorced parents. He even said Haley would be a better mom than I ever could be. After that, Haley began calling me a B whenever she saw me, saying I was insecure for not wanting to take second place to her. Nick later took me back to court to request primary custody and was denied. I went back with proof that they were trying to push me out. Nick even tried to remove me from the school contact list and replace me with Haley before they were even married. The court removed Nick from legal decision-making after that stunt and warned them about excluding me from school or medical decisions. When they finally married, they scheduled the wedding during my parenting time and demanded the kids attend. I refused to give up a week with my kids, and the judge later ruled that I had been reasonable in my offers to compromise, while Nick had not. The kids call her Haley. This bothers Nick and Haley because the kids prefer me. They've tried to say that's due to parental alienation, not because the kids resent being pressured to call Haley mom or spend Mother's Day with her instead of me. Apparently, they've been trying to have children for years, but Haley is infertile. Nick told me through our co-parenting app that they wanted to take the kids to Canada for a month to visit Haley's family. I said no and sent him the parenting agreement, which clearly states neither parent is obligated to give up time. I saw them last week at my youngest school show. The kids didn't hug Haley, and afterward, Nick and Haley accused me of not supporting her relationship with the kids. They said all her years of infertility should make me more compassionate and willing to help. I dismissed it. I don't feel I owe them that. I just wanted to check if people think I behaved improperly. Legally, I'm fine. I'm not asking for legal advice. But am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole at all. Your ex-husband is out of his mind, and so is his wife. She's sterile? Sucks for her. That has nothing to do with you. Not your fault. Nothing you can do. Those are your children. She is not their mother. Those people need mental help. Not only that, them trying to force the kids to see their stepmom as their mom and them trying to replace their mom is alienating the kids. The most likely outcome is that as each child turns 18, they quit going to dad's place. As adults, they can opt out of the whole mess. Not the a-hole. Your ex and Haley, on the other hand, are major a-holes. Your children aren't stupid and they see how ugly their dad and stepmom treat you. It will eventually come to bite them both in the butt. My question is why they want to take them to Canada to visit. Wonder if X is trying to get permanent residence for himself and claim he has full custody? I'm wondering if the trip to Canada would be turned into permanent. Bet Haley's family in Canada thinks she's the full-time mother, and OP is out of the picture. It's possible, and him asking for a whole month was a giant red flag to me. Not to mention the fact Haley could fly out on her own, or they both could have pushed. There is zero reason for my kids to leave the country for a month and miss that much school. Not the a-hole. Such blatant parental alienation is a reason to take your ex back to court for 100% custody though. I've taken him back to court over the parental alienation. It doesn't remove his parenting time, but he did lose legal decision-making over it. He was also forced to pay for breach of the court order. Next story. Am I the a-hole for never feeling sad when my dad and his mistress had miscarriages? My dad was cheating on my mom for years without anyone knowing. She got sick when I, 18 male, was 9 and died 4 months later. When my mom was so sick that she was sleeping 99% of the time, my dad became more open about his affair and even had his mistress come over, introducing her to his family and friends. He never introduced her to me formally, but he didn't hide the fact that he was dating her either. When my mom died, he moved her in and married her. I hated both of them for it, but it only got worse when I found out she had been his mistress for most of my life. They met when I was around 2 or 3 years old. It killed me to live with them. Soon after they got married, they started trying for kids. She got pregnant easily, but had many miscarriages. I lost count of how many. She had 2 or 3 late miscarriages as well. And after the second one, I remember her crying on the couch and not leaving the house for weeks. I ignored her, and my dad didn't like that. He told me I should comfort my stepmom, which disgusted me because she wasn't a stepmom, she was a mistress. I said that to him, and he lectured me about staying out of adult business. I told him the miscarriages were adult business, and I was staying out of it. After one of the miscarriages, they sat me down and told me it had happened again and that they weren't sure they could give me a sibling. I had no reaction, and my dad's mistress started crying and asked where my sadness was over the loss of my baby siblings. I told her I wasn't sad and that I never wanted them to have kids together. My dad spent days trying to make me take it back, but I didn't. I was around 13 or 14 at the time. His wife said she couldn't be around me if I was wishing bad things on their babies, so my dad sent me to live with my uncle, my biological uncle, and aunt by marriage. I've lived with them and my cousins ever since, and I've kept only limited contact with my dad. He reached out a few weeks ago and said he and his wife never got to have the baby they wanted. I didn't show any sympathy or pretend to care. He said I still didn't feel sad about the deaths of my siblings, and I told him the truth. I didn't. I said he was a cheater, she was a mistress, and I never wanted them to have a kid together. He called me heartless and said I needed to learn to be human, because babies dying is sad, and those were my siblings whether I liked it or not. He said not feeling sadness was inhuman. I don't think there's anything wrong with me feeling this way. My therapist doesn't either. She told me some of my anger isn't healthy, but not feeling attached to the miscarriages isn't bad. Does it make me an a-hole though? Not the a-hole. They can't force you to feel anything. Clearly they are projecting onto you, and this is something they need to deal with together and leave you out of it. Unfortunately, karma does what it does best. They really should deal with it together or separate even without other people involved. I have no sympathy or positive wishes for them. They both suck as humans. He spent all that time trying to get you to care about the mistress and her feelings. What about your feelings? You are his child, his living child, not some dream he had about knocking up his new girl. He never gave a damn about how you felt. I absolutely don't blame you for not caring about those lost siblings. What a joke. Your dad never grew up in the ways that really matter. Not the a-hole. Your father chose this life. Karma will get them harder once he loses his only child too. It boggles my mind that OP's dad is still trying to bend the reality that he is a filthy cheater, and his son will never accept his cheater girlfriend, much less care about her. Just give it up, man. You're scum, and you've lost your son because you're selfish and oblivious to his feelings. Not the a-hole, obviously. It shows a high level of arrogance to think you can fix things after having an affair and bringing the mistress into your family when my mom was on her literal deathbed. People like him deserve to be miserable and alone. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my niece I can't help pay her college? My younger brother, 42 male when he died, passed away 10 years ago from cancer. He left behind an 8-year-old daughter at the time. About 2 years after his death, his wife remarried and they moved to a different state, taking my niece with them. Apparently, her new stepdad was good to her, and when she was around 14, he adopted her. She took his last name and basically ghosted our family, saying she didn't want anything to do with us anymore. She even kept rejecting my mom, who ended up passing away a few months later due to a heart attack. We all suspect that being rejected by my niece played a huge part in it. After that, we just stopped reaching out because we were honestly angry at her. At that point, she was 15. Not an adult, but old enough to know what she was doing. A couple of months ago, she reached out after years of silence. She asked for her part of my mom's inheritance, and I told her there was nothing left for her, which was true. Everything was left to me and my sister. She got mad and started cursing my late mother, and I told her to shut up and show some respect. She said she was starting college and that her parents were having financial issues, so they couldn't pay for it. She demanded that I pay for her college because it would be only fair, claiming it was her late father's share of the inheritance. I told her she had pushed my brother away years ago, that she had a new dad now, and that I wasn't paying for anything. The inheritance wasn't big anyway, and most of it is already gone, helping with my own children's college expenses. She called me a disgrace and an a-hole, and then tried to guilt my sister into giving her money next. My sister also refused because she isn't well off and had used her inheritance to pay off debt. She's still harassing me for money. Honestly, if she had been genuine and polite about it, I might have helped her out. But after years of disrespecting her late father and our entire family, and now demanding money on top of that, it's too much for me. I don't want to call the police on her out of respect for my brother, but she's really making it difficult. For the record, I'm not rich. I just don't struggle because I've always been good with money. I can't suddenly produce a college fund out of nowhere. I've been saving for my kids since they were born, and the inheritance just helped a little. But to her, that must mean I'm some millionaire. How do I deal with her without involving the police? Is that even possible? She turned her back and moved on away from your family. Her mother should have put some of your brother's estate away for her college. Block her. My brother really had nothing left after his treatments and everything. You don't have a niece. She rejected me and my family years ago, but it's still hard to accept it, I guess. Totally understandable. Kids are stupid, even when they are old enough to know better. Maybe she was manipulated. Maybe she was just a dumb kid who rebelled and wanted to do her own thing. I have nieces and nephews I adore, and it would kill me if I was in your shoes. However, they do need to learn that people who care about you need to be kept in your life. And if you push them away, you can't come back and ask for money without genuinely trying to rebuild a relationship. Not the a-hole. Massively. On top of the emotional divorce, legally in the United States, you most likely do not have a niece. When she was adopted, she most likely lost inheritance rights, unless your mom specified a bequest by name in her will. Please check with a lawyer on this. Good to have your bases covered. On the other hand, step-parent adoption usually does not stop the Social Security benefits, so she's probably been getting that supplement until 18 or graduates high school, but not after 19, which is probably why she's hounding your family now. Last story. My deadbeat dad abandoned 2 more kids, and his ex wants me to help, but I said no. Am I the a-hole? My dad, aka deadbeat, was never very present in my life. He left my mom when she got pregnant with me and tried to sleep with her occasionally, even though she always turned him down. It was the only reason I have any memories of him from the time she was alive. He never cared about me, which is why mom always told him where to go. He built up tens of thousands in child support too, because he refused to pay most of the time and found ways to stop it from being taken directly from him. My mom died when I was 6, and my maternal grandparents took me in. I didn't see deadbeat for several years. Then when I was 10 or 11, he showed up for a minute and asked for a DNA test again. One had already been done when I was a baby to get him on my birth certificate. My grandparents said as long as he paid for the DNA test, he could have one. He left because he wanted them to pay. He showed back up a couple of years ago with a wife and a young kid, and his wife was pregnant. Deadbeat didn't care much that they lived nearby, but his wife was like, "Oh, we're family now, and you should know your siblings." I was like, "Nah, thanks." And she tried to get my grandparents on her side, but they were like, "Nah, thanks." Deadbeat took off on her and those kids 6 months ago. She stayed put and tried to reach out to me for help and for me to form a relationship with her kids. I told her I wasn't helping her and wasn't interested in a relationship with her kids. My grandparents suggested she move closer to her family if she wanted her kids to have more than her. But she didn't, and she keeps reaching out and asking me to play some sort of role in her kids' lives. She also keeps asking me for help. She said even 6 hours of babysitting a week would make a huge difference to her, and that she could better provide for her kids. When I didn't say yes after she asked again and again, she asked me if I was really so indifferent that I wouldn't want to know my own siblings who share my DNA and were dropped just like me. I asked her why she was so sure they were the only ones. I told her he could have a million kids out there, and I just don't care. I said the only DNA that counts for me is my mom's DNA. She asked me how I'd feel if she lost their home and struggled to feed them, and I said it would be sad because kids don't deserve to be hungry, but it would be no more or less sad than it happening to any kid. She said at 17 I'm almost a man, and not turning into a very good one. That's when I blocked her, and I speed walk into the house or away if she approaches me in person. My grandparents told her not to show up again or the cops would be called. So far that seems to have worked. I don't feel bad about it, but I guess it did make me question if maybe some part of me is the a-hole for refusing to help or be in those kids' lives. To me, it seems crazy to go off deadbeats' DNA, but I know that matters to a lot of people. Am I the a-hole? She just wants a free babysitter, not the a-hole. It might not even be just babysitting. She could work up to asking me to pay for stuff when she has me settled in as a babysitter. It's so weird she's chasing me down for this stuff instead of going to her family or friends for help. Maybe her family didn't like deadbeat and warned her about him, so she doesn't want "I told you so." That's my guess. Not the a-hole. It's your choice if you want to help and or be present, and if she's not willing to accept that you don't want to, it's her issue. I understand that she needs help, but it seems weird and may be desperate to reach out to you, and as a young person you have enough to deal with anyway. It makes me think she has no family or friends of her own, or she's on bad terms with them all. Why hang around and try to make me responsible otherwise? Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my son's half-sister 3 days a week after school? My ex cheated on me while I was pregnant, and his affair partner, now wife, and I had babies only a few months apart. My son is older for reference. All custody exchanges were done by family members, my mom and his sister, until our son was old enough to walk from one car to the other on his own. Now he's at that age, so we don't need to be face-to-face. The reason it got to this point was the cheating, and also because my ex and his affair partner asked me to send over baby clothes, bottles, diapers, etc. for their baby when I had purchased them for my son and not their daughter. My ex said they were struggling to afford it, and I made it clear I was not being held responsible for his child with another woman. He told me we could have raised the kids together if I had forgiven him for the affair. Then he called me a stuck-up bitch who acted like being cheated on was the worst thing ever. After that, all communication went through a parenting app. We did not do things together. I did not answer any calls he might have attempted unless our son was with him. Custody is 50-50, so every other week I do need to answer if he calls. Thankfully, he only tried to call for nonsense reasons a couple of times before this. My son is now 9. I have never met his half-sister. He knows that they're related, but she and I are not, and that is something he accepts. Just like he knows they have shared grandparents, their dad's parents, while the other grandparents are just hers or just his. A couple of weeks ago, my ex called while he had our son and asked me to babysit his daughter 3 days a week after school. He said his wife was going back to work and they needed childcare 3 additional days. I told him it would never happen and to never ask me again. But ask again he did, this time via text, and I ignored him. He tried to make the request through the app we use, and I simply replied one time that I had said no when he called, and my answer was still no. His wife tried to call me and then texted me 10 times, saying I needed to be a better mother and put my son first because, even though I hate it, her daughter is my son's half-sister, and they should be allowed to grow up close, being so close in age, and her daughter should be loved and accepted by me. I ignored her texts. My ex has tried to guilt-trip me with how much they've been through because his wife had stillbirths and miscarriages after their daughter. He has tried to force my hand by getting our son to ask me. At one point, he even said he would come over to my house with his daughter so I could meet her and we could agree to this. I let him know I wasn't going to answer the door if he did this. He even tried to get his attorney to order it. There was brief contact between the attorneys. Mine laughed at his poor attempt to force my hand and told me to continue ignoring him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Why would you even consider this? Full stop, you need to have more respect for yourself. Your only responsibility is your son. I wouldn't consider it regardless, but I did question if that made me the a-hole, and largely because I have seen similar topics on my social media feeds, and people generally expect you to be one big happy family with an ex, even if they cheated, and to treat all kids like family. It made me wonder if I would be told I'm an a-hole and should suck it up and look after her. Not the a-hole. The miscarriages and stillbirths must have been heartbreaking, but not sure why they are even trying for more kids if they are struggling financially with the ones they have already. Maybe they thought they could force my hand if they had a bunch of kids running around. They seem to be the type of couple who expects people to give them free stuff and take care of things for them. All I know is they could have had 10 kids and my answer would be the same. I'm sorry, what? Your ex who is financially struggling paid a lawyer to force you to babysit? I thought it was crazy too, but then I think his attorney is related to his wife or a friend of hers or something, so maybe they're getting a discount. Not the a-hole. However, I think you need to ask your lawyer to file a motion to have a judge order him to stop harassing you. Also maybe for more custody. If they can't care for their own child 3 times a week and have 50-50 custody, how are they providing child care for your son when they have him? My attorney is aware of all the attempts. We're doing nothing for now, but ignoring and keeping all the texts. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepbrother's wife she's obsessed with me and imagining I want my stepbrother and ruining Thanksgiving in front of my entire family? I am 23 female. My stepbrother is 27 male, and his wife is 27 female. I first met her when I was 20, and this needs some backstory because it has been messy for years. So, backstory. My stepbrother dated his ex, let's call her Lily, for 5 years. Lily became the older sister I never had. We became close. Their relationship ended because my stepbrother cheated, was immature, and financially irresponsible. She left, and I stayed friends with her. I am still really close with her and we post pictures together sometimes, but I do not bring her to family events or talk about her around the family. From the first time I met my stepbrother's now wife, 3 years ago, she was standoffish, hostile, and acting like I was some kind of threat. She watched me the entire night like I was going to flirt with my stepbrother. She still acts like this. For the record, I never have, and I do not think about him that way. Over the years, her obsession with me has escalated. She's made my stepbrother block me on messages multiple times because I text him normal things like asking if he wants to grab lunch or help me move furniture. She has since accused me multiple times of wanting his attention and trying to ruin their relationship. This has put our parents in really awkward positions because she's made this a family issue. And then it started to get even more hostile between us when, 2 years ago, she found out I am still friends with Lily. She claims I am rubbing it in her face and has thrown multiple fits over it, repeatedly accusing me of wanting my stepbrother because of it. And last night was my breaking point or crash out. I brought my new boyfriend to a pre-Thanksgiving with my family because this year, due to blended family stuff, we would not be spending Thanksgiving together. I stepped outside to help my stepdad with something, leaving my boyfriend alone with my stepbrother's wife for literally only a few minutes. When I came back, my boyfriend looked stunned. She had told him I am disrespectful, that I used to have a huge crush, or still might, on my stepbrother, that I've tried to ruin their relationship, and that I am also betraying her by staying friends with Lily. I lost it. I confronted her in front of our entire family. I told her her accusations were false, that her jealousy is creating family problems, and that she is embarrassing not only me, but everyone else. She cried, and then my stepbrother yelled at me for humiliating her. My boyfriend looked shocked, and honestly, I was embarrassed for reaching my tipping point with her. and now our entire family is completely divided. Some think I should not have said anything and that I was crazy for doing it. The others know the truth and think it was long overdue. Am I the a-hole for finally telling my stepbrother's wife that she is obsessed with me and imagining I want my stepbrother and for ruining Thanksgiving in front of my entire family? Not the a-hole. Why would you not have called her out earlier? Seems pathetic not to. If the family is divided, they have some issues. Super creepy that stepbro didn't put a stop to this years ago. When she made him block me, I actually confronted both of them in private. She said the closeness we had made her uncomfortable, which is honestly laughable because I wouldn't even call us close. He ended up unblocking me, and at the time he defended it, saying it was because she was uncomfortable with me being friends with his ex and because she's an only child who doesn't understand sibling dynamics. I am starting to think she is actually super weird based off these comments. You are not the a-hole. My thing would be, moving forward, you need to call her out every single time she says something. He's my brother. What's wrong with you? Do you have an incest kink or something? You keep bringing it up. Seems like someone spends way too much time on the hub. Do you know something I don't? Is my brother calling you by my name in bed or something? Because if not, it is super weird that you keep getting so aggressive with me over my brother. This is something that cannot be left alone, because leaving it alone just feeds their BS. This happened with my cousin, who is a good-looking guy, but he's my cousin. When I went to my uncle's, his father's, funeral, I gave him a lingering hug and said if he needs anything, we're there, and hung around him a bit more. His chick was staring daggers at me and said, that's my boyfriend? I said, well, that's my cousin, and gave a weirded out, kinda disgusted face, which my cousin returned. They didn't last long. Next story. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my husband's best friend after years of inappropriate comments? I, 34 female, have been married to my husband Evan, 36 male, for 6 years. His best friend Connor, 35 male, has been in the picture since college. They've known each other for almost 15 years. Connor has always made me uncomfortable. Since the beginning of my relationship with Evan, he's made these jokes that feel like more than jokes. If Evan ever messes up, I'm next in line. You sure you picked the right best friend? Evan doesn't deserve you. I would never let you out of my sight. Always said with a laugh. Always when Evan is just out of earshot or distracted. Always with his look that makes my skin crawl. I've told Evan about it multiple times over the years. Every time he says Connor is just like that and doesn't mean anything by it, that I'm reading into things, and that Connor is harmless. Last Saturday, we had dinner with Connor and his wife Diane, 33 female. We were at their house. Evan went to the bathroom and Diane was in the kitchen getting dessert. Connor leaned over and said, "You look incredible tonight." Evan's a lucky guy. If you ever get bored of him, you know where to find me. Something in me snapped. I said loudly enough for Diane to hear from the kitchen, "Connor, I need you to stop making comments like that. It's inappropriate. It's been inappropriate for 6 years. I'm married to your best friend, and I don't want to hear one more word about being next in line or what you'd do if I got bored. It's disgusting." Diane came out of the kitchen and asked what happened. Before I could say anything, Connor told her I went crazy and accused him of something he didn't say. Diane started crying and said I humiliated her husband in their own home. Evan came back to chaos, Diane crying, Connor playing victim, me shaking with anger. We left. In the car, Evan was furious. At me. He said I caused drama and embarrassed him in front of his best friend. He said I should have pulled him aside privately instead of making a scene. I've been pulling him aside privately for 6 years. Nothing changed. He never believed me. He never talked to Connor. What exactly was I supposed to do? Now Evan wants me to apologize to Connor and Diane to smooth things over. He says Connor probably didn't mean it that way, and I overreacted. I'm not apologizing for finally defending myself. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but you said Connor always makes these comments when Evan is just out of earshot. Has Evan ever actually heard him say this stuff directly, or has it always been your word against Connor's? Evan has heard some of the milder stuff. The "if Evan messes up, I'm next" comment was said in front of him once at a barbecue. Evan laughed and said good luck with that. like it was a joke between bros. But the worst stuff, the comments about how I look, the you know where to find me stuff, that's always when Evan isn't right there. Connor is smart about it. He knows what he's doing. Hey, I think you should be even madder at your hubby. How dare he not defend you? You know damn well if his friend ever assaulted you, it would be your fault for not speaking up. But God's forbid you speak up before it gets to that point. And the guy's wife? Only reason she would jump straight to crying and denial before getting the full story from both of you is that he has made a habit of this. Maybe he's even cheated before and they worked through it. Not the a-hole, but you need to put your freaking foot down. Next story. Am I the a-hole for inviting my ex to Thanksgiving? I shared 2 kids plus my first son with my ex. He has been there for my oldest since he was 1. He is all he knows, and he is still there for him. He is still an active dad for him and his bio children too. He isn't perfect. He, like me, has a dysfunctional family, full of addicts and unhealthy coping mechanisms. I adore him as a person and as a friend, but there's no interest otherwise. We make a great co-parenting duo. Where I slack, he strives, and vice versa. Anyway, as I said, our families are dysfunctional. We have always vowed that we would never be like our parents or give our kids an unhealthy upbringing, even if it meant we swallowed our pride at times. This year, I went to my fiancé's brother's Halloween party and allowed my kids to make the choice whether they wanted to come with me or go trick-or-treating. Like most kids would, my children chose candy. My parents said they would take them trick-or-treating, since my mom and dad were home passing out candy anyway, and it was no big deal. Side note, my mom and stepdad or dad are my only stable family, and they became his too. He can still call my mom with stuff, and I stay out of it, because I know I'm lucky to at least have her, and honestly, I'm grateful he can call our son's grandma with stuff. My ex wanted to stop by and see the boys at my parents'. Again, I wasn't there, but they know he doesn't have anywhere to go usually. It wasn't a big deal, but my fiancé was annoyed. Which I do understand from his point of view. I'd probably be upset if his ex was at his parents' and not me. But the difference is, we were welcome to come first, and I think my kids deserve to have a parent there. Anyway, now it's about to be Thanksgiving. My fiancé won't be there, work, and he has no plans on his end that I'm aware of. I usually go to my bio dad's side, but without going into too much detail, I will no longer be going there. It's already a hard year for me because of that. My mom also doesn't have a lot of family, and after talking, we decided we want to break the cycle. We will have something small every year for my kids there with us, so that they have something surrounded by love. My fiancé made no attempt to make sure I had somewhere to go, at all. He didn't ask about it, only informed me he wouldn't be off when I asked. My son's father has nowhere to go either. Again, I'm lucky enough to have my mom and stepfather. He has no one. Would I be the a-hole for allowing him to pop in and see our boys on Thanksgiving, being as I will have them every year for the foreseeable future since he has nowhere to go? Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd rather suck it up. And my boys see that no matter what, we were there for them. And I know he can't provide that, but I don't want him to be any less included as a father, because he doesn't have that. Am I the a-hole for allowing him, who like me has nowhere to go, to come to my family's small Thanksgiving for our children? There's nothing better for kids to see than their parents getting along. This is especially true when the parents are no longer together. I was neighbors with a divorced mom. Every Mother's Day, I heard her ex hyping up their kids outside to compete on who loved mom more. Happened for the 3 years we both lived in that complex. Co-parents getting along is what it really looks like when you're doing it for the kids. Not the a-hole, at all. My husband's parents were divorced when he was a teenager. When I met him years later, they were able to spend all holidays together with their kids, grandkids, and the mother's new husband. I never saw such a healthy co-parenting relationship. It is healthy for the kids to all get along. My question to you is, why are you engaged to someone who doesn't care if you have somewhere to spend Thanksgiving or not? Do you really want to marry someone that has a problem with the father of your children being with them on holidays? It is kind to care about the mental well-being of the father of your children for your children, especially around the holidays. Your ex having a continuing relationship with your parents when he has no one else is going to benefit your children. You really need to explore why your fiancé has such a problem with this, because the father of your children will be in your life for the rest of your life. He should understand you need to do what is in the best interest of your children, and as your fiancé, be proud of you for being mature enough to do this for your kids. Please go to premarital counseling and make sure your fiancé isn't going to make this a problem going forward. Am I the a-hole for leaving my children's step-siblings in the care of their babysitter when my ex and his wife were in an accident? I, 32 female, have 2 children, 11 and 10, with my ex-husband, 34 male. We divorced 7 years ago and have not been able to remain on good terms. He remarried 3.5 years ago, and the bad blood between us grew worse at that point. New wife was never happy about my presence at school functions for the kids, and she'd always make a point of sitting between me and my ex, complaining that the kids would hug me first. But that wasn't the worst of it. At one of those school functions, she accused me of pinching her daughter. Luckily, others saw what happened and knew I hadn't, but this woman went ballistic, accusing me. Why? Because I stopped her 4-year-old, at the time, from falling over. After that, I made sure I sat on the other side of any room from them, and I swore I would have nothing to do with this woman's children. She has 2. The lucky thing for me is my kids aren't close to them and don't ever ask to invite them over or include them in birthday parties that I throw for them. This makes it easier to keep my distance, so no more accusations come my way. And this woman still brings up the pinching accusation and how she should have called the cops and had me thrown in jail. A few weeks ago, my ex and his wife were in a car crash. It was his custody week. We split the kids 50-50. His babysitter called me after they didn't come back home and told me she had no idea what to do, and I was one of the emergency contact numbers given. I tried calling him and he didn't answer. Then I got a call from his mom, who told me about the accident and the fact that they would be in the hospital for a while. I told her the babysitter had called me and they might want to send someone for the younger kids. After that, I went and picked up my kids. The babysitter wanted me to take or stay with all 4. My kids wanted to come home and didn't want their step-siblings there. I told the babysitter the other kids weren't mine and gave her my ex's mom's number so she could call, since my ex gave her mine and a number that wasn't working as the emergency contacts. The kids and I stopped by the hospital the next morning, and my ex was pissed that I left his stepkids with the babysitter and didn't do more for them. I refused to engage with him on that in front of our kids, but his anger intensified when, from the sounds of it, nobody in his or her family would take care of them. He wanted me to do it, but I said no and told him I was nothing to his stepkids, nor would I ever be anything to them, and I was not risking his accusation-happy wife trying to destroy me with her lies. My ex is still pissed at me and has called me every name under the sun since the accident. His wife was hurt more seriously than him, and she's not even close to fully recovered, while he mostly is. I think that's fueling this more, but his anger toward me has led me to document all interactions we have now because he's so volatile with me. He told me I should be ashamed for taking our issues out on his stepkids. I feel like I did the right thing because those kids are not my concern, even under the circumstances. My concern is more about any accusations she could throw my way and how that could affect me being a mom to my kids. But I can see where that might seem heartless, given the situation at the time. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You're right to be cautious, because that woman could falsely accuse you of something, and you could end up in jail. Your ex can be mad all he wants. She very easily could. The way I look at it is if she's willing to try something in a room full of people, what would she try to do if I was alone with her children? Not the a-hole. Don't take liability for the children of someone you don't trust. That's an accusation waiting to happen. And those kids are not at all related to you. In what world would they be your responsibility? Your ex doesn't have a leg to stand on. In his eyes, they are our kids' siblings, despite the kids not even feeling that way or seeing them that way. But even still, it's his responsibility as the one who chose to be their stepdad to make sure he gives accurate info for emergency contacts. I think the main issue for me is, in a two families, not a single person helped out? That says a lot about how people feel about the ex and his wife. Yep, ex-hubby should be asking himself why nobody stepped up from his family and friends, or his wife's. He won't, of course. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out after she said I scare her? My now ex-girlfriend and I were at her apartment when she said she wanted to talk. I asked if she wanted advice or if she just wanted me to listen. I didn't mean to sound cold, but I guess my tone came off that way. Honestly, she vented a lot, and it was getting tiring. She always said she could handle things on her own, but almost every night she called to talk about work or family problems. I tried to be supportive, but sometimes I just didn't have the energy to react how she wanted. That night, she said my blank face and calm voice scared her. She said I'd been like that for weeks, quiet, distant, like I was holding something in. Then she told me she was worried I might do something. Her ex-boyfriend had anger issues, and she said my calmness reminded her of him. That really shocked me. I've never yelled at her or threatened her, not once. So I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and left. She tried to call me as I was walking to my car, but I didn't answer her. Instead, I sent her a text. If you're scared of me, then you shouldn't be with me. I'm not joking about that. It's better if we go our separate ways. She texted later saying she was sorry and didn't mean it that way, but I didn't reply. If someone says they're afraid of me, even by mistake, I don't want to be around them. That kind of fear can get out of hand fast. I've read enough stories about false accusations to know how bad they can get. Even if it never reaches court, it can still ruin someone's life. So, I'm done. I loved her, but I can't stay with someone who looks at me like I might hurt them. I'd rather move on and never see her again than live with that kind of fear hanging over me. Not the a-hole. You literally did what you were supposed to do. Your partner said she felt unsafe with you, so you removed yourself from the situation. Sounds like she needs therapy to resolve whatever baggage she's carrying with her from her previous relationship. Good on you for walking away, instead of playing into whatever game, issue, or problem she was wanting to create. This post is just dripping with contempt for a woman who said she felt scared. Her boyfriend looks like a blank slate when she talks. This is a woman who has also dealt with previous abuse, and so also said she was scared he might do something, because he seems to have no reaction to what she says. Is OP angry with her? Is he upset? Is he actually okay? Is he tired? Is he sick? OP at no point made any attempt to follow up with her comment, to clarify, to speak to the woman he supposedly loved, on the phone, over text, in public. Nothing. After he left, he is right to stay away, and it'll be better for both of them since he seems to honestly dislike her. But OP, you're the a-hole. Good luck to them both. Why would he follow up with someone who says they're scared of them? Wouldn't that just be more scary? I have been scared by people before who I still talk to. Moments of anger and saying someone is scared shouldn't be a walk out the door. Walk out their life, never speak another word to them again, and immediately end a relationship with someone you were in love with. I am just getting slammed with downvotes, but I'm pretty sure it's reactionary, as I don't really see anyone else commenting why I'm wrong. I digress. My verdict is still you're still the a-hole, though everyone sucks here could work too, I suppose. People just see communication differently. What are you gonna do? That sounds abusive that you kept trying to communicate with people scared of you. Gross. As a survivor of a narcissistic partner who also said I scared her, you did exactly the right thing. My ex played the victim right up to the end, and there was nothing I could do to help her. She had past trauma, which made me sympathetic, but she was largely unaccountable for her own actions and needed professional counseling. I stayed far too long in that relationship and feel I barely survived getting out. To everyone saying that the OP should have stuck around, listened better, and offered more help to his girlfriend, you must understand that some people cannot be helped through love and affection alone. If they are unwilling to recognize past trauma, unwilling to heal, and unwilling to understand their own contributions to feeling scared, anxious, depressed, etc., there is nothing a loving partner can do. Also, and this should be obvious, but someone saying that their partner scares them without any reason for that concern is nothing more than manipulation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not getting back together with my wife? My spouse, 34 female, and I, 40 male, are divorcing. A year ago, we started having issues that resulted in us fighting and or not communicating. Resentment built up from both of us to the point that we were unhappy. We both kept mentioning a separation until, after one fight, she said she was done with the fights and that we should divorce. The next day, she left on a business trip for a week, and when she returned, things were a lot better. We didn't argue, we got along like we used to in the beginning. This went on for about a month, so I suggested we talk about our relationship and where to go from there. Towards the end of our amicable discussion, I asked if we should stay together, and she said, "I don't know, and I think that the fact that I don't know means we should go ahead with a divorce." It hurt because I really wanted to save our marriage. We were together for 13 years and have 3 kids together, the youngest being 3.5 years old. I asked if she was sure, and she told me that she still loved me but wasn't in love with me anymore, and hadn't been for a while. I asked how long she had felt that way, and she said it was a few months before we found out she was pregnant with our last child. I had no idea that she was feeling that way for almost 4 years and felt terrible that I hadn't noticed she was struggling. Up until the last year, there were no obvious clues. We went on dates. We were intimate 3 to 4 times a week. We did everything together. I could see the weight lift off her shoulders once she told me that she wanted the divorce, so I knew it was true that she was no longer in love with me, and I respected that. I told her she needed to make sure that's what she really wanted, because once I became emotionally detached, I'd be done. She said she was 100% sure, and that she would get all the paperwork handled since she's better organized than I am. True. It's been 6 months and no paperwork has been filed yet. Cut to the present. A few days ago, when we met up to exchange the kids, she mentioned that she sees we both are doing better mentally and emotionally, and that she wants me to consider working things out again. I told her she made it very clear she was the one who wanted the divorce in the first place, and that she was so much happier after she said it out loud. I've already emotionally detached from our relationship, so my answer is no. She said it was unfair that I wouldn't even consider it for a second before answering and left angry. A couple of friends say I should think about it for the sake of the kids, but some friends say that she emotionally detached from me for 4 years without telling me. Am I the a-hole for not giving the relationship another chance without at least thinking on it overnight? Not the a-hole. Guess her business trip fling didn't work out in the end. That's my guess, or the coworker or the boss. Yes, whether it's her boss or coworker, we can know that she isn't serious enough about relationships. Hope OP won't turn back. The friend that mentioned she detached for 4 years is spot on. That's 4 years of no communication. Also, staying for the sake of the kids usually results in toxic and unhappy households anyways. But you also gave her 6 months to handle the paperwork. Time to put on your big boy pants and do it yourself. I would get a paternity test on your 3-year-old if I was you. She could have cheated. Nah, that's my child. She's literally the spitting image of my sister when she was a baby. A lot of people say that, but she might have a type. The affair partner could look very similar to you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for intentionally scaring my neighbor's kids? My 29 female bedroom window faces the front yard. During the day, I have the blinds half open, enough to let in some light and sunshine for my cats. From the street and even the front yard, it's not possible to see clearly into my bedroom. Because of this, I often walk through my bedroom in my underwear or partly dressed to get to the bathroom. I don't risk walking around naked though. Recently, my neighbor's twin kids, both male and I'm guessing around 7 years old, have started looking in my bedroom window. I don't just mean standing by the window in my yard. I'm talking faces and hands completely pressed up against the glass, looking in. I assume this started with them looking at my cats, but now I think they consider it some type of game with me. If they see me, they run back home laughing. I've caught them outside on several occasions and asked them directly not to do this, but they just run away laughing like it's a game. I've also spoken to their parents multiple times, and they refuse to do anything about it. The response I got was, "They're just kids being kids, and if you don't want someone looking in your window, just keep it closed." I think teaching your kids that it's okay to go onto someone's property and peek in their window is messed up. I know they're young, but I still feel like my privacy is being invaded. This went on almost daily for months, until last week. I walked into my bedroom and heard the kids outside playing, then spotted the terrifying demon-like mask my boyfriend wore to a Halloween party the night before. So I got an idea. I stood next to my window wearing the mask for almost 20 minutes. Finally, I heard the footsteps approaching and waited until both kids had their noses pressed up against the window. At that moment, I jumped out, mask right at their eye level, and let out the deepest and loudest roar I possibly could. In all the years living next to these neighbors, I've never heard them scream as loudly as they did when they saw me. They ran home screaming and crying, and just minutes later, their mother was at my door calling me a monster for scaring her children. I simply told her that I do what I want in my own house, and if her kids don't want to see that, they should stay away from my window. It's been a week now, and I'm glad to say the kids haven't even stepped foot on my front lawn. Not sure if it's because they're traumatized or because the parents finally told them not to do it anymore. Either way, I'm happy. I felt justified at the time, but everyone I've told has said that I took it too far for such young children. So I don't know, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They're lucky they didn't get a call from the police instead of just getting scared by a mask. The mother, though, is the a-hole. She should be teaching her kids better and not to look into random neighbors' bedroom windows. The nerve. Keep your windows closed? The absolute gall. What would be her excuse if her kids had caught you and your boyfriend together through those windows? You shouldn't be having sex where kids can see it? Frankly, you should have done it sooner. And anyone who disagrees clearly has never had their privacy encroached on, children or not. Also, I justify my reply as a parent myself. So no, I don't think you took it too far. Right, I have kids, and if you aren't going to parent your children, you have no right to complain when the world doesn't take the gentle parenting approach. I love it. If she keeps complaining, I would let her know that there are consequences for parents and their kids when parents let their kids trespass and be peeping toms, which would get them arrested as a teen or adult, because kids will be kids. I hate that whole "they're just being kids" BS, because I for one never even thought about spying on my neighbors, and frankly, being told by my neighbor to stop would have freaked me out enough to not ever do it again. And I lived in an apartment building, so it would have been super easy to spy on my neighbors. I just never thought to do that because that's freaking weird.